What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mofutbol. But this one is a special one. It's Afcon, Can, African Cup of Nation edition with my good friend African FC, aka Akwasi, because no people don't know the government name, and yes, I said it.
Why are we
But we,
throwing why are we
I
throwing
had
government names out like this on a
got
Saturday,
those
sir?
government names on the Saturday, and I had to because you didn't give me the pictures that you were supposed to. So,
Listen,
payback.
listen. I'm kind of not famous, so I don't need to have my photo here. And now you get to put a Ghana person on the thumbnail. People will be like, "Why is Ghana on there? They're not even there." That's why, because I don't have pictures of myself. So now he got to
Exactly.
put Ghana up there, and then people can be like, "But Ghana's not there." You're gonna about to be inundated by Nigerians telling you like, "Oh, they can see it from the picture, but they can't play on the pitch." Yeah, I know. Okay, listen. I could say, but I want peace. So we're
Hey,
gonna enjoy this. We're gonna talk here, but hey, that's right. AFCON in less than in a week's worth of time.
yes, it is. You know what? Just tell them about the World Cup, and they won't be mad at you.
Oh no,
But
no. See if you get going on the World Cup, they're already telling me, don't send the postcard. Just take it with you. You'll be back soon. Listen, hey, I enjoy being at the World Cup. I wish we
yes,
were at AFCON, but hey, of the teams that are there, we're going to talk about the teams that are there, not teams that couldn't qualify. So in
yes,
both cases, when we come to the World Cup, Nigeria, you can sit this one out. And when it comes to AFCON, Ghana, we can sit this one out too. But we're going to talk about everyone else here.
yeah. You know what? Not every team can make it to both tournaments. I'm just going to just leave it out
It
there.
is. And there's one
Yes,
of the things that I'm curious to see because it's almost there's two groups of categories as you're watching
yes,
this AFCON. You have the teams that are both trying to win, but then also using this as not, and again, I'll say
yeah,
trial run. I'm not trying to insult AFCON. AFCON is important, but a tournament football where you get to see players react to tournament football, that's going to be important for some African teams
yeah,
as they get ready going into the World Cup. But yeah, there's a lot of different talking points with it. But again, my
yes.
ADHD is going to take over here.
No,
But
I
you,
know, and you made a good point too. But that's what I also mentioned is maybe not the test trial, but I think it's to take the momentum of either playing well at the
mm,
Afcon or winning it all, and then comes the pressure of now you are the African champion
yeah,
going to the World Cup. So now you have to not only represent your country, but you also now to represent the teams that you've beat in the AFCON that have not made it to the World Cup. You are
yeah,
now their representative for that tournament. So winning it is not just the pride of your country, the pride of Africa, but then after that, you have to take it to North America and represent those that you've beat.
yep.
But that's a lot of pressure for an African country, but they're all used to it. So the first thing that I sort of wanted to mention and kind of us talk about. So we know the trophies there, we know the teams that are playing, but
Mhm.
now there's a country that's being put in front of the entire world to kind of promote their Morocco,
Yep.
promote their culture, promote their soccer culture, and promote the continent of Africa itself. So before we go to the slides and everything, so what do you think about just the idea of having Morocco hosting it, especially as one of the blueprint of African soccer?
It's an interesting conversation. I think for Morocco right now are working in a way where they are the trailblazers in
Yeah,
terms of they're investing in it, right? They are getting the infrastructure part down, right? And to much, it's not smooth. It's not smooth sailing.
yeah,
If you pay attention to Moroccan news, there have been some protests about, the amount the government is spending into football specifically. What helps them is that they're winning, right? We saw the U20s win the U20 World Cup. We saw the women make to the finals of the women's AFCON, right? We saw the futsal team make it to the futsal World Cup. So, and then you see the men's side, and the men's side at this point is just like, yeah, yeah, living your dreams. The
yes,
U17s, they get to host the next four women's U17s up until 2030. So, at the very least, at least are seeing some return on the investment. It is still a lot to ask for a country, a government, where a lot of these sports, right? Football is part of the government, therefore, yes, there's a degree of like this is our showcase piece. There's people want to argue slight brushes of the wash, slight brushes of the wash. I can understand where they say this,
Yeah.
but I think at the end of the day, at least the investment they're putting is showing dividends, and so at least there's a little bit of a trade off. I know, like I joke with some of my African friends right now, Morocco feels like the golden child of African football, right? Just
Yeah.
"Oh, why can't you be like Morocco? Morocco got another A+ in the assignment. Why can't you be like Morocco? Morocco gets to host the U17s for women. Why can't you be like Morocco? They won a medal at the Olympics, and you're just like, listen, man, I'm trying. Okay, we're trying out here. Okay, and so I don't mind it as much. It at least gives African countries at least a bar that they're chasing
Right.
at the very minimum. And yes, different countries are investing. Let's not pretend as if Morocco is the only one who is.
Yeah.
There's all over the continent, different countries are investing into their football programs. There's a lot that needs to be cleaned up in some of them, but I don't mind it as much because at least it gives these competitions stability. That's one of the more frustrating things when you'll get into African football, where it's just okay, we're here, and then actually this stadium isn't up to grade, so we're gonna play in insert country, or they'll someone will rent out a stadium and they'll be like, this one is not up to grade. But then another country will come into that and be like, oh, we,
We
we
got it.
found all the good grass.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Since when? And so for me, at least it gives us some stability. We know where things are going to be. We know what the standard for those things will be. And at least for other African nations, they give the opportunity to say, okay, that's the bar. We can meet it or we can surpass it. So I don't mind it right now. Catch me in 2 years when it's the same thing all over again, and then they'll be like, you know what? I'm ready for a Madagascar holiday. Send us to Madagascar.
Yeah. Hey, I don't think there'll be too many people that will be complaining if, for those of the people that know what Madagascar looks like, I think if you go there, you probably not want to come back to where you are, but because
Beautiful
beautiful,
part of Africa.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and so and the other part that's kind of starting to brew the past couple of weeks, the a lot of the European teams not releasing their players on a timely manners. They've only give them a week. I think the mandatory was, I believe, December 15th. So that give
Mhm.
the teams like no, a week
Yeah, we
release.
got
You hear
yeah.
teams like Como, with which I'm disappointed of, Cesc Fabregas arguing with the Senegalese national team on when to release players. Players are still will be playing this Sunday,
Hmm.
just to then fly back into Morocco to play. Um, what is your thought on one? Pretty much FIFA still showing the disrespect, I will say, of saying yes, you can release your players a week prior. And
It's
do you
yeah.
think if that would ever change? Because they wouldn't do that to European countries. That wouldn't happen.
No, they wouldn't. And that's where it's a conversation when it comes to Afcon. Afcon will always get those headlines. And
Right.
for me, it's just because it's one of the more inconvenient. And I say that from the European football
Right.
schedule, right? I think it is one of the more inconvenient tournaments. It's every 2 years, and usually it would be every January.
Yep.
And so teams would lose players for a month, maybe. And it's like, well, we're getting back to things. So what are we supposed to do? I do think it's a little bit harsh, especially when you're looking at terms, but because it doesn't fit into a window, you the clubs do technically have the upper hand in that case. Normally, and some clubs have let players out earlier, but right now, again, the 15th is there. It is a little bit unfortunate, especially for a tournament like this one where things were adjusted slightly, right?
Yeah.
It's
What?
not
Yeah.
in Jan. Yeah.
When FIFA asked for it to move, so it's not like you know the African asked to move it. It was a FIFA, and because you don't hear FIFA asking European Union to move the Euros.
No, but then you also remember the timing. The Euros is a summer tournament,
Yeah.
right? The Gold Cup is technically a summer tournament. Now, the Asian Cup is a winter tournament, but it's every 4 years, so
Yes.
it's not as and disruptive for the European season is really what the word that they're looking for. And for Africans, they'll say, "Well, it's our tournament, and we're doing it every other year because this is a schedule for us."
Yeah.
If it was every 4 years, I don't think they would be as they would still put up a fuss about it,
Yeah.
but I don't think it would be as bad. And now I don't think it's simply as that. But
Yeah.
I think right now, I think that's why that it's there. I don't like it because again, it's another example of we're just
Yeah.
gonna not show
Yeah.
it respect,
Yeah.
right? I don't need to say one analyst's name again, but like at this point, we're,
Say it.
he's
I dislike him. We
every
know
find
he's
an
from
African
Liverpool.
who likes him right now. Okay, he's
Well, yeah, yeah.
But that being
He's
said, I think
Liverpool.
it's primarily just the reason that it's just the most inconvenient because of the frequency and the timing of it. It just puts clubs in an odd spot, even though it's taking place mainly over the winter break. So I
Yeah,
mean, what's gonna it's not gonna kill them.
yeah, yeah. And Germany's like, oh, winter break. Yeah, go. We
Mhm.
have our break. Well, and clearly they do not want it to have in June because do you really want your very pricey, expensive players play in June in Morocco in Africa? Yeah, I don't think so. But yes, that's the harsh reality of the
Mhm.
Afcon, their timeline, and I guess the January timeline. So next thing we're going to go and maybe talk a little bit more about Morocco itself and infrastructure, and then after that we're going to go to the fun parts that I think everybody
Ah,
wants to
yes,
hear,
the fun
which
parts.
I'm curious to see what you have to tell. You have to show me. So the first thing that I was kind of thinking is that one thing that Morocco and I think most of the African countries love to show is the mascots, their official mascots.
Hmm.
So that's aside. So what is your thought on, lion, pride, Africa?
It's
What?
The Atlas
Yeah,
Lions. Look, it's Morocco. It fits with Morocco. It's
he's
I'm
smiling
not
though.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It should have been a penguin, right? Mo, is that what you're
Uh,
telling me? It should have been a
uh,
penguin because you got Hakimi coming. You know that. Listen, it's the mascot. I think it fits well for the motif of the team. I don't mind it at all. It's a mascot.
yes, a
There are
mascot. Yeah,
far worse mascots that could be chosen, so I am not upset right now as it sits. So
you
let's
shouldn't
run
be
with it.
upset at all. Never upset.
Oh, I can be, but this is not where I'm gonna find my upsetness. But let's run this.
Okay, okay. So, still infrastructure wise, so you see how they have about all of these stadiums. Is there one stadium particularly, if you kind of looked at them, that you're kind of interested to see,
I mean,
or you're not an infrastructure guy? That's,
I'm not too big of an infrastructure guy per se, especially when it comes to stadiums I haven't visited yet. I haven't been to Morocco ever. It's something I do
what are you
want to.
waiting for?
Well, sir, listen.
What?
It's a flight to Morocco or maybe a World Cup ticket. So I'm going for
Me?
maybe a World Cup tickets. Okay, and some
With
may
those
argue the
prices?
Moroccan
Mhm.
and the Moroccan trip might be cheaper at this point. So
Hey, fun fact, I think they say there's, I forgot one tournament, they say it's cheaper. Oh, maybe it's outside of everything else, but they say it's almost cheaper to fly to Japan and go to their Disney than to the one in Florida. So, yes, but I
we
digress.
we have discovered so many things we could do for World Cup ticket prices at this point. So it's
Yeah,
really
I would not recommend half of what people have suggested, but
listen, listen. We're here to talk about Afcon. The World Cup prices will be there tomorrow. Don't you worry. But no, like
affordability, though, in Morocco, and those tickets are pretty well priced from what
mhm.
I understand and make it more accessible for people. And
No, that's
visa
true.
free makes it very easy for the whole continent to go.
True. But on the stadiums, right? The small stadium we have here is about
Yes.
18,000 in terms of capacity.
Ooh,
I think that still falls in line with Afcon protocol, which is minimum capacity has to be 15,000.
That's gonna be
Do you,
interesting.
do you worry because, and I kind of mentioned this here, but I wondering what your take is on this. Do you think Morocco runs the risk of oversaturating the market with football events that it might not be well attended? Now, I think when it comes to it's Afcon, right?
Right.
You're here, you don't need to wake up for it, but they've just had a U17, right, for the women's. They just hosted the women's Afcon
Yeah.
last earlier this year. Do you think that we might see a dip in terms of the attendance? Could there be a fatigue of another tournament? Okay, I'll catch this one at home type of thing. What's your take on that?
I don't think so for Moroccan and the way they've seen soccer football in the past few years, and it pretty much has become like culturally, even though soccer was huge in Morocco already, but I think the vision that they have now is that they want to have such a well infrastructure and foundation for soccer that this is the perfect time then to have one tournament stop, forget things, and then have another one after the others. Where if you think about it, this is almost all of their test runs for what the World Cup with Spain and Portugal will look like, right? This is almost like the perfect timing to see what is working, what isn't, and it gives you all of these years to see if you can actually have the capacity to host a World Cup.
In a way, I see what you're saying there, but I mean, they've already had the practice, for lack of better words, and they're getting that hands on here. So I'm not. You can still learn
It's a different
things. Don't get
beast.
me. Oh no, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong.
no,
It's a different animal
yeah,
always, but I do think that they're going to continue to have these opportunities just because of the terms that they're having.
yeah.
So I it's a fair point to bring up. We'll see kind of where it leads. I know the next Afcon is slated to be somewhere, um, possibly probably on the east coast of
Everybody's
Africa.
fighting for it.
Hey, we might as well. But again, we won't talk about the future. Let's talk about the present as it comes here.
But yes,
But yeah, I do like the stadiums in terms of that. But again, that is something that I'm curious to see. I think it will be well attended. But I mean, when you think about this is their third tournament that they've had, and yes, the U17s were at the sports complexes and training facilities and the likes before they got to like the quarterfinals and semifinals, and then you got to the finals. But it is something worth watching because the women's edition is going to be there as well. So you might start seeing slight declines. But hey, in terms of stadiums, I'm excited to see what they look like. But I'm
keep
excited to
making
see what they look
runs.
like.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Keep
Mhm.
keep making runs, and you will see people will show. Because I think, and
Mhm.
you're starting to see the pivot of. I think one thing that's keeping Morocco in the eyes of everybody is also all of the players that are thinking about possibly joining.
Yep.
Because you see how we always have the discussion in the African world is that the reason why a lot of the players decide not to play for their maternal or paternal countries, it's because of the lack of infrastructure. And so now that for Morocco, that almost takes away that excuse.
It, there's layers to that, and like yes, it's one thing that some could argue, but that is a very layered, complex conversation because hey, as you know, when you have the options of multiple dual try, if you have multiple countries that you can go for,
Yeah.
it's not as simple as just saying, oh, well, they don't have a facility. Well, this guy hasn't called. Again, there's layers to it. And I know we could go hours and hours on as we go, but it is something more so I find that I tend to be more passive on just because at the end of the day, these players will make their choices. And at the end of the day, let them make their choices.
Wow, we have a professional soccer player and a legend of soccer here. Ming Song saying he's, oh, I think he's coming to see you, not me. So that's a different discussion. And he said that he will win the group with versus Mexico and South Africa.
Good for him.
and
Yeah.
we're talking World Cup, but France and Senegal. You know what, son? I will table that question because I'm not ready to discuss it until next year. So
uh,
yes, so
oh, you will, sir. You'll
because
take that in.
you see now you just I forgot my train of thought just because of this specific question. So I thought we were friends, but I guess we're
Oh,
not.
we're friends. Don't you worry. We are friends. But 8 stadiums here, or 9 stadiums, my apologies. I like the breakdown of it. We have our groups. Oof. I know this is your channel, but I feel like asking you questions.
You
What
know what? Be careful now.
eh,
But now,
FC? Talk to me.
all right. So now, so yes, we're now looking at the groups. So quick question: you can see it well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah.
all right, because sometimes I have grandpa eyes when it's late. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go look to Group A to F,
Mm.
and then after that, I'll just ask you to let me know who do you think is going to be in first and second place.
Oh yes, yes. The last minute predictions. Yes, I do
And then
agree.
after that, if feeling like it, maybe I'll ask you why.
Okay, run
All
it.
right. All right. So first one, Morocco, Mali, Zambia, and Comoros. Tell me, who will end second?
Oh, you're just assuming that Comoros finishes first. That's quite bold of you, sir. Um,
That's why I asked for the second place first.
I think, look, home soil gets it done. I think
Oh no, you gotta
Morocco,
answer who's
and
second.
who I,
Second.
I will answer, sir. Let me be a good guest and answer the question, sir. So I think Morocco at home they get first, which means for second place this is where it's a little bit interesting, right? I think we could argue for World Cup qualifiers, Mali was a little bit disappointing in terms of they were expected to fight for the top of the group and they ended up finishing what third in their group. So Mali maybe are looking for a little bit of redemption there. Zambia have been a solid side, have been growing as they go. In Comoros, I mean, they don't get to see their favorite team, Ghana, here, and so hey, at Afcon, they are giant killers. Um, and so for second place, I think it's a little bit in the air. I like the Malian redemption arc.
Right?
I like that idea, but I've been on just a thought of a lot of the middle class teams in Africa are starting to push up. And so I would love to see a team like Zambia finish in second, just because I think it would add more to the African conversation in terms of what they could do. So for me, I'm going Zambia finishing in second in the group. I know
Okay.
you're writing this down, sir, and I can respect you for it.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So you said Morocco and Zambia second.
that is what I am saying, sir.
Well, we're gonna start in trouble. We're starting good. We're starting good. Group B, and I think for me it will be just like it is at this moment with Morocco and Mali. Even though
Mhm.
their maturity always drops when it comes to the senior level
Mhm.
playing, but still think they have a little bit of that edge.
There is a different animal when it comes from translating from being the best of your age versus the best professionally. There's a
Yes.
difference, right? And that's a struggle that some African teams are having. But that's just the reality of it. You no longer just have to be the best 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old. And we've seen Molly at youth tournaments look great.
Yes.
But now once you get to the senior level, it's no longer, oh, I have to be the best 21-year-old. No, no, no. You just have to be one of the top six midfielders. That's a different conversation. That's
Yeah.
different pressure. That means you need minutes. That means you can no longer be the potential. No, no, no. We need to see
Yeah.
some
No.
actualization of it. And I think that's where it gets rather interesting from there. But Group B, sir, you have Egypt, South Africa, Angola, and Zimbabwe. You
Zimbabwe.
asked me, and I want to return the favor
Oh,
for you.
come on.
Who
I'm.
finishes?
That's my show. I cannot. But yes.
Okay, well,
Oh,
Liverpool fans are hoping that it goes away, apparently, or it doesn't. Who knows?
no. If South Africa first, Egypt second.
Really?
Yes, sir. And the
Why?
reason why, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just know why you're going South Africa over Egypt in this group.
I think for me, South Africa is more of the collectively. They're the more ready
Mm,
team for the tournament. And unfortunately, what has currently happened with Salah, I still have the a question mark on his state of mind for the tournament. Because if he
mm,
comes click in, he'll probably be the most dangerous player in the tournament. But if he comes with a little bit of that chip that's been happening in Liverpool, which then can translate to the rest of the team because they will be looking at him to guide them to the final. So if
mm.
he's not ready, I'm not certain there's someone just yet that's ready to take, you know, the torch and run with it. But South Africa is that one through however I think 26 they've brought in. Those guys are saint. Even though their coach maybe have said a few things that people have questions mark about, but player wise, I think South Africa is the most ready team. But Angola, I wouldn't be surprised if Angola, you know, causes some trouble because they always do.
Huh.
So how about
Listen,
you?
sir. I think your point on Salah and where his mentals might be is a fair point. I would counter and say a player like that, we've seen him perform well for a country. Also, Omar Marmouche is a thing, sir. Marmouche is a thing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like, and not just like a, oh, by the way, we have a, no, 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 has arrived, right? Has properly arrived. And so if one wing isn't working for you, dare I say the other wing will be open. And you have to respect that aspect. And in the same way that we look at it South Africa, I mean, arguably the best African goalkeeper and Ronan Williams. And again, that South African side are always, some may say they aren't as talented in terms of the big names,
right,
but collectively they are usually always in sync. And so I can understand why you go there. Think though in this situation, I think a Marmoush and a Salah might push you just over the edge of a Ronan Williams and co. And so I'm going Egypt on top. I'm
okay,
going South Africa second. And because you didn't ask for this, but I'm giving you the bonus.
yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
going Zimbabwe getting a third place finish
Hmm.
in this group. Listen, Zimbabwe gets South Africa, and they're going to treat that game well. That to me, that's a lovely regional derby for them, and so I think Zimbabwe are in a position that they can push Angola as well. But don't sleep on Angola. Like Angola got the job done in their qualifying, but Zimbabwe, I think they are very interesting to show that some of their good form at World Cup qualifiers isn't a fluke, but it's a building step for them.
Yeah. All right, all right. So, while you asked me about that one, so now we're switching out up for Group C. Nigeria, your good friends, Tunisia, Uganda, and Tanzania. Tell me,
Listen,
be careful, your friends are listening.
they can listen. They know where to find me, sir. They know where to find me. Listen, the Cranes. You heard it here first.
Mhm.
The Cranes, the Uganda Cranes.
Oh,
C for Cranes, top of the group. Listen,
hmm.
if you read the papers, you might think that Nigeria right now, there's a lot of interesting with Nigerian. Ekong just retired. Looks like Stanley isn't available. If you read the tea leaves, there's reasonings. I won't go into all that drama for you.
Gossip later.
We'll
Yes.
gossip later, of course. Tunisia falls into the category just like in Egypt and the South Africa. as well as a Morocco, where you kind of know what they are, but they're also gonna use this to prime up and learn again another tournament football for them before the World Cup.
Right.
Again, we're not diminishing Afcon,
No.
but Tunisia is going to be solid defensively. They're going to push. So I'm looking for a team to kind of push and shock a little bit. And I think Group C might be that group for that. That's why I'm going with Uganda finishing top of the group. Tanzania, I won't lie, last Afcon, I said Tanzania, happy for them to be here. I'm not making that mistake again. I ain't making that mistake. So Tanzania, I am now familiar with your game. And I think this group, I know we look at other groups and say, oh, what's going to happen with all these competitive games? I think
Mhm.
group might be the group where we say, I think my first hot take here is I think either Nigeria or Tunisia don't make it out of this group, which might be a little bit ridiculous, but I think there's always a team that underperforms. And yes, we're
Right.
going to get the Group D, and there's names there. Group H has names as well, so does Group F. But I think in Group C, either Nigeria or Tunisia may not make it, don't make it out of the group, one of the two. And guys, if you want to come back and tell me I was wrong, Africans FC, three A's on the African. Like, okay, it's there. Okay, so look, I'm out here. Okay,
He ain't hiding.
and like my logic is Nigeria's form right now is inconsistent,
Yeah.
right? They perform well when they're pushed and their backs are against the wall. So it's easy for me to kind of fade them.
Mhm.
Tunisia is a side where whether it's fair to say this or not, I think if the point allocation for Ensu doesn't go, I think that group of World Cup qualifying is different.
I would
And
say so
so
myself. And for Nigeria.
Nigeria just has to learn not to like don't draw Lesotho,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll take you seriously. but
Yeah.
but and so for me, again, Tunisia they got the job done. Even their game against Equatorial Guinea where they qualified, Equatorial Guinea just couldn't finish, and then finally they get the opportunity at the end, and Tunisia does it. And so I think that style can get you far, but they're going to need be Tunisia will need be a bit more expansive in their football versus just defending and going for the 1-0, the 2-0 type victories where
Right.
you get a couple counter goals. And I think Uganda will be coming here with something to prove, as will Tanzania. I think Uganda wins this group. Again, if I'm wrong, Afrikaans, three A's on the cans, FC.
You know how to make friends. You know how to make
Listen, he'll
friends.
he'll tag me in there. Just
Yes.
subscribe there. Find my latest video with on African Afcon and be like, hey, you are wrong, and that's okay. I
I
can
will
live with
clip
that.
it just for them.
I appreciate you. Make it a short. We'll live life.
Yes. So, yes. So you say Uganda is going to be first. So who's
I'm
second?
going.
Because you say one of the big ones might not make it. So who will be second?
Let's get classy with this. I'm gonna go with Uganda first
Hmm.
and Tanzania second. Okay, so some Tanzanians are gonna love me for this, or just be like, "Why would you do this to us? We don't want this
Oh,
attention. We are the underdogs. We like being underdogs. We like being underestimated." Realistically, I
wow.
think it'll be Uganda and Tunisia, then
Okay.
Tanzania finishing third, and then Nigeria bottom of the group. I just the talent for Nigeria will always push me to give them the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
but their form currently, you cannot ignore the form.
No. Mm.
And yes, this is the same side with that terrible form, which I still think goes back to that. Got to the finals of AFCON before they fell to a team that really pushed them. Nigeria will give you opportunities to punish them, and it's up to teams to do so. And so I'm going U- Uganda first. I'll go Tunisia second, Tanzania third, and then Nigeria. I'll put them at the bottom.
Ooh. Oh, you're going to get some phone calls.
Apparently, I'm
Um,
consistent with my brand here, so. Mm, mm,
I
mm,
don't. I.
mm.
We're going to so going to clip that. You know what? I will still give them a benefit of the doubt, but I will probably say Tunisia. You just changed my mind, so now I'm gonna say Tunisia, Uganda, Nigeria,
Oh, oh,
Tanzania.
okay. So now you want to fly with cranes? Got you.
I think
Okay.
I might. You give me the great justification, but we'll have to do our homework. But yeah, now I'm intrigued. Uganda. All right. So we're now on Group D.
Yes.
Yeah, you know who I'm gonna say. So
So
Senegal,
yeah.
DR Congo, Benin, and Botswana. You're the guest. Go
So
ahead. Group D, my
oh, I
friend.
am the guest. Now I'm the guest. How
I
how
know my pick.
thankful. Listen, I know I on paper the DR Congo will always perform well at every game that matters. Their Spurs and still very fresh. Benin, Benin is serious. Again, I think it's more than they did on the other side. That's gradually yeah, really ignore it. Or I'm sorry, you shouldn't ignore it. I understand why some people might because they think it's not one of the big teams, but I, you can't overlook a side like that. I think on paper you say it goes chalk, and maybe you swap Benin and Botswana. DR Congo right now, they're riding off of. Yes, that's right. I'm doing this just for you. They're riding off of making the IC playoff, and so maybe this is a tournament where they put it together, get a run to the quarterfinals, dare I say semifinals.
Mhm.
But for now, I'm gonna go with it chalk with Senegal, DR Congo, and I'll push Botswana over Benin, and that'll be how I see that group. What about
Um,
yourself?
my friend, we're in agreement on that one. Um, but I think the only part for me, like you mentioned, for DR Congo, one of
Mm,
the biggest thing is that, or that gives him the upper hand than the other teams that are still in the qualifiers. Is that
mm,
now they're playing the Afcon, so that means they have a competitive game, and the only break they have is February. Compared to everybody else, they're going
yeah.
back to their home team, home club, and then still have to come back and sync up in March to play those games. So I think for them
Yes.
that would be like the perfect, path transition to, cross their T's, make sure that they're ready
Yeah.
for that playoff. So as far as they can make it to this tournament, it will most likely benefit on their playoff game. But
No, I agree.
uh, I would say Botswana. I think they always threw a monkey wrench on any game. So if
Hmm,
Senegal, DR Congo, Benin decide to fall asleep in any of those games, I wouldn't be
mm,
surprised if at least Botswana gets a win from those three teams up top.
mhm.
So,
No,
so
fair,
um,
fair.
all right, that one's gonna be a fun one. So Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, and Sudan.
This is the group of death.
And why? Because there's two groups of death, right? There's one
What's
where
your other
it's
group of death? Okay,
you know how
well,
they say it's like all stacked because it's all big names, or is
mhm.
that you're not sure who's going to be up top because of the four teams playing?
I think based off how the teams are playing, I think every side here has something that works for them, right? I
Right?
think Algeria right now are again recruiting well, playing well on the pitch. Again, another team that has this plus the World Cup. So I think they are interesting in terms of just continuing to stamp and saying we should be. I mean, they did win this tournament. What was it back in 2017 or was it
Yeah,
19?
guys. Oh, I'm an old man. We'll have to add that.
We'll go look. But regardless, you have that. You have a Burkina Faso side who genuinely feel they were robbed from a spot at the IC playoff for Afcon because the rules changed, and then, and to be perfectly honest with you, you are aware this was there, right?
Yeah,
This was set up for teams that were going to drop off, so it was something that teams were aware of. At least I believe they were. But still, you're a side that if they didn't do the points deduction, it's them, not Nigeria, who are going and playing, and they're here to again. I think they're a group that wants to prove a point. If you, especially if you look at what's going on with them domestically, plus how they've been playing well, they found their form consistently there. So I think they're a side that wants to prove a point here. In the same breath,
that's the
Equatorial Guinea are punished because ineligible player that is then viewed as eligible, but then the points that were deducted weren't reinstated. And this was a side that they made it what to the quarterfinal. They made it to the round of 16 at last AFCON and kind of surprised a lot of people. And Sue as a nine is someone to watch. And then you have a Sudan side. Yes, Kwesi Appiah doing great stuff with that side, but a Sudan side that at one point were leading their World Cup qualifying group. And so I don't think there's a team here that you necessarily say maybe this is the side that teams can get healthy against,
right.
right? And by no means am I saying that's Comoros, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, or Botswana. I'm not saying that's those groups, those teams. But we tend to do that. We're saying, oh, they're not a big team, and so people might look at this and be like, okay, Burkina Faso might be nice, but Algeria is probably because we remember we had Mahrez
Guys,
and
and
like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, their goal will be good. No, if you look at how their teams have been playing, I think all four of those teams in that group are at a level where, listen, there's only three spots available in this group. And the results might be so close that ultimately only two teams come out of the group
which will be
because maybe other groups are able to pile up some more wins and get results. But this could be like a win. This could be a group where Algeria is able to beat Sudan, but then Sudan beats Equatorial Guinea, but then Equatorial Guinea beats Burkina Faso, and Burkina Faso draws Algeria, and Algeria draws Burkina. Like you see, like
the layers in there.
the layers of it all. So I think for me, Group E to me is a group that if someone picked any two out of those and said they make it out, I would say, yeah, I could see it. I could genuinely see it. And so it's tough to really give an answer or a favorite for you. What are some of the factors you're looking at that make you select which teams you have getting out of this group?
I think probably just to the fact that maybe know some of the players that play for those teams and
Hmm.
see them perform. I think that probably be the only reason why I would pick them.
Hmm.
And it's Algeria because my hairs and I forget they have that young kid that's killing it in Germany for Algeria. I forget. I will have
Hmm.
to bring back his name. If you give me a second, I will be able to know it. So I think, and then for Burkina Faso, they have two MLS players that I know, and
Yeah.
Georgie is a guy that I've been following quite a long time. Um, so that's probably why I probably will favor Burkina Faso in Algeria. Oh, and his name is Ibrahim Maza. If you watch him, he's
Yeah.
kind of killing it now for Dortmund.
Hmm.
And so I think so. That's one of those talented players that I'm wondering if they can take over a game and see what they can show the rest of the world. Georgie, that plays for Seattle Sounders, is another one where even against my Inter Miami, he was dribbling and showing the skillfulness that he has. So just because of my knowledge of those individuals, that's why I had still
Hmm.
Algeria to finish up top and Burkina Faso um, second, just because Algeria have more of the experience with those players, and the lead with Mares is another step. And plus, he's also grew up in Sarcelles, which in France, where We have that deep connection. So
Yeah.
I gotta show him a little love on that part. But and then we have Group F, which for me is the group of death,
Hmm.
which is Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Gabon, and Mozambique. So, what is your thought on the group of death first? Because the first one you mentioned, E, you mentioned is that how the
Mhm.
teams are playing for you is the group of death. But it looks like Group F is the group of death because of those names of those countries playing, which
And
three
that
out, you were almost, you could pick three of those teams to make it as far.
you could. And again, like you said, they have the names Aubameyang playing for Gabon, Cameroon still looking at Cote d'Ivoire. I think again, aside we're talking about all the teams here, and then Cote d'Ivoire are out here being like, we won this last year, right? Like you don't remember Coup de Marteau running around, pan, pan, pan. Like,
Yeah, they
like
barely won it though, because they were dead. They were 6 feet under.
thank you for and as as the gift that keeps giving Ghanaians, you are welcome. Um, to Ivorians, but
Yeah,
like, and so Cote d'Ivoire have been in good form.
yeah,
I think they come into this. I think having Cameroon is a side that, again, a nice regional derby. Friendly footy.
yeah,
No one gets upset in those
yeah.
ones.
It's friendly.
This is Team French and then Mozambique. Like, it's French colonies in Mozambique, and I think so for Cote d'Ivoire. I think they walk into this with the least amount of pressure. They have pressure to repeat, but no one's really. Maybe I'm just in my corner. I
Yeah,
haven't seen too many things in terms of Cote d'Ivoire are out here to repeat, and we're fearing them as a nation, but they have a tough, solid squad. I think for me, I think I focus so much on Morocco because again, we had this conversation. I'm trying to get an African Ballon d'Or winner. And I think Hakimi might be my best shot. So Morocco, do go deep. But Cote d'Ivoire, as a side, right, qualify for World Cup. They haven't conceded a goal in competitive matchups, and so you have them. You have Cameroon, Gabon, who play Nigeria well for 90 minutes, but then
yep.
once you got to the additional 30, they just ran out of steam. And a Mozambique side where, I mean, let's not try to undersell how they looked because I'm going to look it up for you how they did in CAF World Cup qualifiers because they certainly were a side that showed well, in my humble opinion. But ultimately, I have Cote d'Ivoire topping the group.
Mhm.
I'm going to go with Gabon finishing in second, and then Cameroon in third at the moment. I just need to. Nope. Yeah, actually.
Uh oh. There's
Yeah.
the however moment.
Be that as it may, I'm going with Cote d'Ivoire top of the group.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm putting Mozambique. Mozambique has a good run. Second place. Give me Mozambique. World Cup qualifiers, they won 6 games, they lost four, no draws. So that is something that you watch and say, okay, this could be interesting. That being said, I think again another one of those middle class sides which are starting to raise their level, and you're
So I
seeing
have
them get
questions for you then.
asked away.
So since you have him second,
Mhm.
so out of Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Gabon, who are they going to beat? Like if you were a gambling man, which of those three do you think? Because to finish second, they would have to beat at least one of them.
I think for a finishing second, I think they would beat Cameroon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of see it, especially what Cameroon is currently going through at this moment, which aka they have two coaches.
Yes.
And then there's rumors that one of the greatest African soccer player does not want Abubakar in the roster because he does not want him to surpass his goal tally of international play.
Oh,
So
we're
there's so
I,
much there's so much the African
let
way
me
of
ask you
doing
about
things.
Abubakar in terms of that.
Yes.
Yeah, like I understand wanting to get. Look, I understand chasing a record like that.
Yeah.
I also understand this is a tournament. You get to see different things. I think this I don't know how much they needed for Bubakar, especially at a tournament like this here, where I'd say, hey, it's unfortunate that we don't make the World Cup, so we can't use that as well.
Right.
But listen, you get to see some players you haven't seen before, for lack of better words, when the bullets are flying. So see how they react to this. Adversity is free here.
Yeah.
Why not see, okay, it's a big game. You're playing a rival. You're playing Cote d'Ivoire. Let's see how you can match up the intensity. You're playing a Gabon side who's trying to have their one magical last run. See how they react to it,
Yeah.
right? You're playing a Mozambique side who didn't really back down to anyone. Yes, they lost 4 times, but they still got 6 wins. Let's see how you react to it.
Yeah. And then we're playing with house money to this point,
Precisely.
knowing with who they have up top. So and yes. So that I think that's fair. Um, but for me, I do have Cote d'Ivoire and Gabon second. And one of my main things, especially for Gabon, they're
Mhm.
like the firing power that they have. I think they just ran out of steam, but they also have Aubameyang and
Mhm.
Bouanga. That's
Yes.
he's killing in MLS. So I think it was just the experience of Nigeria that kind of killed them there.
Mhm.
But I
I think
think
it was
since
I wouldn't say it's experience. I think it's more so talent and Nigeria's desperation. And not to say that Gabon didn't have desperation, but I think Gabon were the better side. But then once you got to 90 minutes, it's like the talent got a chance to spread its
and the
legs.
experience too, right? Because like the
Yeah.
tournament, the experience of knowing how to manage the game towards the end.
No, precisely,
Yeah,
precisely.
and so just that firepower from these two guys, and Aubameyang apparently just decided to wake up in 2025 and say, you know what, I'm gonna play soccer again.
Huh.
So yeah, I have Cote d'Ivoire and then Gabon second, and Cameroon third, Mozambique fourth.
Okay.
Je sais que je vais pas avoir beaucoup d'amis, but I
Mais,
think
mais
that's
c'est correct, tu peux avoir beaucoup d'amis si tu veux.
ah, j'aime des amis. Je veux avoir tous les amis. Après,
Tu
on
veux,
peut.
tu veux que tout le monde que t'aimes? Ben,
You know, that's
come
what
on
no
now.
is about. Everybody. And
Harmonie avec moi. Harmonie.
yes, c'est mon nom, Moussa Harmonie Moussa. Yeah,
OK, OK. Mais c'est
yeah.
toi, c'est moi, mais pourquoi pas? Je suis vivre en harmonie. But like I ultimately, like I
T'es
get.
Canadien, toi, alors tu dois être peaceful first.
Oh ben. OK, ben je parle en français maintenant. But like I think here's the thing. I can understand the logic of putting them there. I wonder how they react coming off of, because there is an exhale, right? There is an exhale. And that's where I worry about like a team like Nigeria and a team like Cameroon, where they were right at the precipice, and then the exhale of not making it to the World Cup playoff. There is going to be an exhale. There's no longer going to be, okay, the excitement of, or the let's power through and figure this out.
Right.
A team like Burkina Faso, I think, who rightfully might feel, hey, we were robbed of our opportunity of that, might walk into this competition and say, we're here to prove something, right? And that's where I worry about like a Nigeria and a Cote d'Ivoire, not a Cote d'Ivoire, a Nigeria and a Cameroon, where on paper they look like, okay, these should be sides that, they have the talent to get it through. But there is something to just that exhale when it just doesn't go well. And that's where I worry about them a little bit. But that's where my logic of kind of fading them there. I think on paper, yeah, they have chock full of talent.
Yeah.
But
No,
between the ears after what they just went through, it's something I'm watching. To be very honest, it is something I'm watching.
absolutely. So yes, and also we're doing something a little different because we know everybody's doing group stages and then they go through the
Mhm.
bracket and go all the way. So since we want you guys to come back and have more of that discussion, so what we're going to do is group stage, and then after that, Afcon is going to have to tell me who he thinks is going to go all the way and win it. But then after that, we have to come back once that group stage is completed. Then we can see the actual playoff bracket, and then we're going to compare it. Because I see everybody just going to the entire, which what's the fun of it,
Mm.
right?
No, that's a very
Yes.
fair point. And I think that's where you have to watch it. And again, this is AFCON. And you always have to factor in a team that does something that they're not supposed to do,
Yes.
right? I'm looking over what year 2019's AFCON Group B, Burundi, Guinea, Nigeria, Madagascar. Madagascar tops that group back in 2019.
Who would have thought?
There's always a team that overperforms what they were supposed to do. And that creates just and it throws the round of 16 off because now instead of like, okay, we have the safe matchup, nope, now you have the chaotic one.
Yes. And
And
we've
this
seen,
isn't
we've been
right.
around long enough.
Right. And this isn't FIFA. We're not gonna reseed it so you don't have to play them. No. If we get the finals rematch last year in the round of 16, so be
So
it.
be it. Yes. You gotta eat. You gotta eat. So knowing now that we know who your favorites are, so who is the one that you think is going to win it all?
Way too early? I would say way too early.
Make it
I'd go Morocco.
Morocco. Do I have to
Yep.
answer?
Sir, I know you're saying Senegal. It's
Uh,
okay.
Yes, that's right. So to change it up a little bit, so is there one play, let's see, one young player and a senior player that you're looking to impress you for this tournament?
Like this is gonna be a cop out answer. It's not necessarily looking at a young player, but what I am doing is eight, yeah, 8 of the 9 World African World Cup teams are here,
Yeah.
right? Morocco, Egypt, South Africa, Tunisia, Cote d'Ivoire, Algeria, Senegal. So that's 7. DR Congo possibly 8. I'm watching those teams specifically, and I'm looking at the end of the bench, or I'm looking at the substitution patterns where I say, okay, why are they giving this player a run versus this other player?
Right.
That to me is going to be the more fascinating in terms of young players I'm watching versus old players or veterans that I'm watching because from a roster battle position, that's where it gets a little bit interesting. And yes, I didn't say any names, primarily just because, like, not that I don't know any names, but I that's generally is what I'm looking at to see,
Right.
okay, which players. Because one of the things that will be fun with this is they get to say, okay, what are we missing?
Right.
You know, Senegal might come out here and be like, listen, like Nicholas Jackson is great. Behind him, we need to fix that. And if that's the
We
case,
got him.
that's fine, right?
I,
Algeria, yeah, Algeria might say, "Listen, Mahrez is a legend for us, but we need more dynamic play on the wing or in the midfield or wherever we want to deploy him." And so, from that standpoint, instead of going player specific, I'm going team specific and saying, "Okay, hey, Morocco, you have a pick of the litter of players, but those last 4 players, that is interesting to me." Egypt, can you find another a striking option that isn't the one that you have currently to put between Marmoush and Salah? Tunisia, can we play more than just defensive footy? I'll hang up and listen, right? We talk about Senegal, we talk about them. Cote d'Ivoire, again, another side that, hey, they're the champs.
Yeah,
They are the
yeah.
champs, right? And so, Pepe aside, we saw Ndingra. Ndingra was that player for us last year who burst on the scene. We're like, oh, he could be interesting. I wonder what this could be. And so for me, I know I've seen some people put that out there, but for me, I'm looking at those teams and those rosters and saying players 20 to 24, 25. I'm curious to see what happens there and how the coach wants to respond. So I know that's walking around the answer without answering it, but that's kind of what I'm looking at from there.
No, and it's fair, right? That's when you want to see the next African star
Mhm,
to show what they're capable of. Because I think so far, if even if we look at the previous three or four
mhm,
Afcon, I don't think we've had a young African player that used the Afcon as their introduction to the world.
mhm,
It's it's through their club team that they're excellence and then bring it into the the national team versus like, hey, we saw you in the AFCON, you killed it there. That's
mhm.
why we bought you or X.
Yeah. And
So
then that's
we're
the
waiting for that.
thing. And that's the thing with this tournament because it's so quote unquote inconvenient, right? The tournament scouting that we'll see, let's say at Copa America, or we'll see at the Euros, or we'll see at sometimes at the Gold Cup, you're not. It'll be interesting to see because it'll be right at the end, and the European transfer window should be done. uh, I'm gonna check this to be sure. Da, 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 da. The European transfer window, the winter window, is January 1st to the 31st slash February
Oh,
the
that'll be right
2nd.
in the middle of it.
And so I do think, to your point and what I was saying, I do think we will see maybe two players based off how they play at AFCON get European moves. Now, we may have some African moves as well, and those will be covered, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I think two, if I set the line for you at 2.5,
Okay.
are you betting the over of African players who are at AFCON who get a move thanks to their play? Or are you going under?
Over.
So you're going more, so three or more. I'm going with two.
Uh, I would
I
say
think
so.
mhm.
I will probably sit so.
That's not a bad number. No doubt, not a bad number.
Oh, we can see five.
Mhm.
It'll be good. But
Indeed.
but yes. So you have Morocco, I have Senegal. No specific players for you at this
Mhm.
moment. So we'll have to circle back on that. See maybe who impressed you during
Yes.
the group stages. So a few questions for you. So if someone were to ask you, why I should watch the AFCON, what would be your elevator speech?
Elevator.
Yes.
Listen. How much time do I have for this elevator pitch?
You have like 15 seconds.
15 seconds. All
Yes.
right.
That's the CEO clock right there.
All right. 15 seconds. Let's go for this. Look, all right. AFCON is one of the best tournaments, continental tournaments you'll see. The passion is there. The vibes are immaculate. It's both the best version of technical football and backyard football you'll ever see. And quite frankly, it's at the perfect time of the year where nothing really is happening. You don't want to talk to your in-laws over the holidays, so just turn on the AFCON and be like, "Listen, what Mozambique? Let's go!" That's my pitch. But I would say also it's where we'll find a lot of the names that will be in Europe doing things. In the same way that I look at like the U17s and say the best players at U17 are regular names in Sunday and weekend football in Europe. They don't have to be world stars, they don't have to be elite, but the names you see that are impressive there, those names you see them consistently. And I think at AFCON, you see a lot of the names kind of transform. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember him in Afcon, and I think it's that type of a thing for me. So I mean, it's the vibiest one. You have someone who will try to go around the world, chop back, and then send across. In the same breath, you'll have someone who will whiff a prayer from 45 yards out and hope that that's the goal that sparks the team. You never know. But that is why I'd say, hey, Afcon is worth your time.
Yeah, and when you have a right back that becomes your leading goal scorer of the tournament,
Hey, hey,
and
hey.
he plays in the third division of a Spanish league, third, fourth, fifth, who knows? But yeah, he's a right back. That was a striker.
Quality is quality, my friend. Quality is
Yes,
quality.
a soccer player is a soccer player. Yes. So, and just to close out, so the very last thing. So, um, Afcon,
Hmm.
Africa. We have certain African players that from the diaspora that come and join. Um,
This is what you're finishing with. This is what you're finishing with. You know, ask the question.
so
Ask
if
it.
you had one player that you can take from the diaspora that's currently playing for a European team or country, and you said, "Come on, son, come,
Mhm.
and play for X country," who would that be?
On the spot, sir. You are
There's a lot of them knocking at the door that says, "Hey, I might be interested."
yeah. This is why I'm annoyed that you're asking this question at the time because I'm like, I'm the most relaxed with it to be perfect on that
Okay.
topic. I don't mind players who take their time and then come back. Yes, I understand why it's frustrating,
Yeah.
but it's not as simple as just saying, "Hey, I'm going to go here." I I get the frustration that some players will say, "Hey, we need you to get here early," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get that," but as I say, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You need someone to want to come, and you need to want them to come as well. It's not just as simple as saying, "We want you to come. Sell me on the program, please, and
Yeah.
thank you. Like, tell me what is actually needed." There's there's too many options when it comes to players with multiple second. Oh goodness, let's see if we can find something interesting. You know, actually, I'll go with a simple one because I think this is a simple answer. Because I think if you put him on this team, and I think he's one of the better players, if not the best player in the world currently.
Right.
You know, put Lamine bet with Equatorial Guinea, him and Ensu, magic. It'll be Grandpa and the kid, right?
Yeah.
And the kid Afcon, John.
Yeah. I did not expect that one, but I like it.
It's one of the easier answers that are out there. And like if you look through Spain just from colonies, there's a lot of interesting Spanish equatorial youth players
Right.
who are starting to come through and like who are like 16, 17. You're like, you know, this could be something. This could actually be something, right? This young player at Atletico Madrid, Gabriel Obama,
Right.
right? That's someone who could be interesting. A Christian Molina who isn't doing anything for his national team, but is playing at a decent level in Spain. And like, so you start looking through it and you're like, actually, could we do something with this? Could we actually do something with this? Who knows? But
And it's
that's where
not
I think
impossible these days. It's not
exactly
impossible.
right, and that so that would be my play. I think just for the vibes,
Mhm.
and if a player of that nature and that magnitude was now playing, it's like Barcelona has to say goodbye to Lamine because I gotta go play Afcon.
Yeah.
Oh, Barca would that boy ain't
Oh, that's
leaving Barca,
yes.
but that could be the thing that you need. But I think that would be interesting, especially when we see what Ensu has done.
Right.
Yo, put uncle and his nephew. Listen,
It's a rarity.
it is a verity. What about you? What's your call for that before we wrap this up here?
I think I've been spoiled with the African side of things because Senegal. I think we've got three of our four
Hmm.
players. Um, I'm gonna just speak in impossible one. Mbappe, Cameroon.
Uh, I'm gonna say that thing that's gonna annoy people. I'm sorry. Due to politics, he wouldn't start over with Bubakar. Let's be straight. Abubakar would still start, and people would be losing their minds.
It will
Be like,
sit on him, but yes,
it
but
would be
yes,
like,
I think that that's like the impossible version of it. But you
mm,
said, the uncle and nephew. That's the uncle and nephew right there.
no, I don't want that. No, I want one that's fun. Okay, not. Why does Cameroon always have like a Roger Miller type character all the time? All the time.
Well, he won something. He got songs after him. So, but yes, I think that would be the one interesting to me. But I know there's a whole bunch of like Italy and Spain and France are
Hmm.
sour because Senegal has the youth of Senegal are now, you know, Sar
Yeah.
that plays for PSG scores, and then
Hmm.
it's like, you know what, France here is too stacked, so I'm going to
Oh.
Senegal, and then Italy had that kid at Como that says, you
Mhm.
know what, I'm going to Senegal, and then
You know, I
there's a
just
shift.
and yeah, the shift is there because I think you actually see teams l- saying like I think African teams are getting better at recruiting in terms of not just waiting for those moments. Also, side note, Lamine like Lamal could also play for Morocco.
Yep,
Do you know how
I
stupid
thought
that
that's
would be?
I thought who you would have mentioned.
That I went for the other one because I was
Yeah,
like, they don't because I
they
can't
don't need him.
have Morocco doing this to me. Look at Morocco. They have the best player in the world now with them. They have Ibrahim, and they have Brahim and Lamine on one. It's like I can't.
I
We
if he was with them, so that means Hakimi then wouldn't have to do half the work he's doing, and he
Hakim
played
could pick and
defense.
choose. He could pick and choose.
Yes, no,
No.
that would have been ugly. So I think the world is lucky not to see that one. But it's just telling me that as time changes,
Mm,
they're going to start to see that African countries are capable of bringing those players. And
mm,
if you don't be careful within the next World Cups or so, you will see African countries making more of a run because those players are have European pedigree. They're training in their academies. They're training.
mm,
The lack of training is no longer the issue now. They know African countries can win. They know you can have your sponsorship
mm.
if you play with an African country. You know you can have all the eyes. So the only thing that's maybe can persuade them is just like me, growing up in France. Then you have
Yeah.
that battle, but the whole excuse that they previously had has pretty much been erased, and they can use someone as an example now.
No, and it's true. And I think with the expanded World Cup, players have more options. And yes, I get it. Nobody wants to deal with oh, we just qualified. Oh, I can what?
Yeah.
I, God always bless the homeland of Ghana.
Yes.
Always. Like I get that frustration with fans and some players. But at the same time, like if you have the option to go through all your options, do it.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to be mad at you at the end of the day because look, a player is allowed to take whatever time they have to choose whatever country they want to represent. In the same breath, the country doesn't have to say yes.
True.
Like the country has options. So I'm like, yes, with that, there is a recourse possibility, and that's fine. Let them figure that out because this is again, your career is short, it's finite. People are trying to maximize it as best as they can. Some will do it in ways that you don't like, but you gotta understand where they're coming from. It's not as simple as I want to play for this. Some people were able to do it from since they were children,
Yes.
and some people have wanted to do it, and their federations haven't let them do it. So now we're gonna blame the players because the federation said, "Hey, nah, you ain't good enough," and then they become good, and then they call you like, "Actually, I, you know,
Yeah.
let's have that converse." No, come on.
Yeah. I think before we close out, the only issue I had with if a certain player is that if they made it all the way to the first team from whatever European countries they made it, and then they see themselves out of the picking order from there,
Mm,
and then they see that the team that they're following now have made it to the World Cup, for example, then you go and say, "Oh, by the way,
Listen,
that's the if I see you in the first team and you've had play of it, and then you're like, you know what, second choice, that's the one." But if you like kind of really thought about it and you went to the academy system of those countries, and then you're that has always been a discussion or an option, I'm good. But if you're in England and you've played, you're France, you have played for so long, and then all of a
man,
sudden you see somebody a little bit better than you, and the African country has made it
nah.
to the World Cup, and you're like, uncle, niece, uncle, I'm
Listen.
available.
All I have to say to that is this: as long as it's legal, I don't care.
Oh boy.
I really don't care. And that's me. I'm just one person. But if it's legal, if FIFA says you can do it, I mean, because what's the alternative to that? The alternative to that is big countries just saying we're gonna give you a cap and we don't need to, and now you can't play for anyone else.
Yeah, I think that wasn't it what one cap or two, and then you can always have that one
But
switch.
but but, but before the rule was once you are capped in a professional game, that's it. And then they said, okay, if you don't have three caps by 20, there's that. Or if you haven't been capped within a period of time, then you can file a one-time switch.
Yeah,
Because again, like I get it, you're trying to do that, but if you still grew up in the ecosystem of once you have the one cap, that's it. Then you're basically it's like okay, like how many English players were given and by 3 minutes versus San Marino, and then it's like well, now we got them. We don't need to
yeah,
worry about them
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. That
No,
one I don't
it
like
is
that one.
to me as long as it's legal, I have no issue. I don't care if they're going to or going from. I don't care if it's England going to Africa or Africa going to England. Is it legal? Yes. Is it within the parameters of fair play? Yes. Then do what you gotta do, homeboy. Like I ain't
Yeah,
mad at you.
Africa to England does not happen.
I
They,
I
they
ain't
would
mad
not.
at you.
They would not suit foot in the continent again. But that's a different discussion. But this is now your time to let the world know how they can see you get yourself in trouble with Nigeria and the rest of the African continent. Sometime CONCACAF. Just let them know where they can find you.
Great. Okay, so African Canadian content. I'm Africans FC. If you Africans FC, three A's on the cans. You find us on YouTube here. I think he'll post us up there with that.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. We do a podcast as well. We're getting to the end of the year, so I will have my Afcon stuff going up as well. So don't worry about that. My takes will be hot wherever they are. And then because it's the end of the year, I have a lot of like Canadian football end of year stuff that's going to be coming out as well. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, and World Cup's coming, so I'm gonna get that super chat button going because let me tell you, I'm trying to find tickets to watch things,
You're not
and I
alone.
and I can't afford it. Okay, I can
You're
afford to
not
watch.
alone.
Listen, listen. I can afford to take a picture of the FIFA sign at the Niagara Falls. That's what I can afford. Okay, I can afford that. Okay,
I don't
but
know. There's enough anger, so we'll see what happens to that. But yeah, that's
I
that's
I'd
all in
say
that discussion. But
yeah.
with
But
that
that's where you
said,
guys can find me. Yeah, on all most social medias, Blue Sky, Twitter. I'm there for podcast form. Everywhere you find podcasts will be there. But yeah, it's been great. You'll be back.
and you'll be back.
I've introduced you to my fun cast of characters, and they're like, no, 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 no. Yeah, don't bring Mo to your podcast, so you start arguing about Belgian stars.
Oh
Okay,
boy, there you go.
hey, listen, listen,
That's you know what?
listen.
It ain't over. He's I
Oh,
know
oh,
if
he
he's
knows.
watching, it's not over. And there's plenty of hot takes. This is soccer. It's worldwide. There's plenty. So now there is France versus Belgium, or the Dutch side versus the French side. Who knows? But
Mhm.
this is what it's all soccer is about. But
Indeed.
with that said, thank you for joining another episode of Mofutbol Afcon 25 edition. Make sure you go and make sure you follow. Me, Afcon FC, because we will be pumping out Afcon content all December and January, and then after that, follow up World Cup. You know what it is.
I won't lie. I can't wait for January because it'll be like the first break I've had. Because
There's no
I've been,
such a there's no such a breaking. You know what? With that said, there's no such a break in soccer because there's always a ball being kicked. With
I
my friend,
know, I know.